Okay, let's dive in. Today we're tackling something really serious, incredibly urgent actually. It's about how ordinary people, like you, can step up and potentially save a life. We're talking about controlling bleeding in emergencies.
Yeah, it's a topic that, well, often gets overlooked until something terrible happens. And the sources we've looked at, they hammer home this one stark fact: uncontrolled bleeding. It's the #1 cause of preventable death after some kind of trauma.
Number one, preventable. Just let that sink in. And the clock is ticking incredibly fast, right? We're talking maybe 3 to 5 minutes for fatal blood loss.
Exactly, 3 to 5 minutes. Now, compare that to how long it usually takes for emergency services to arrive. Often around 8 minutes, sometimes longer, depending on where you are.
8 minutes average. So there's this gap, a
Ah,
really dangerous gap in time.
a critical gap. And that gap is precisely why the training we're focusing on today exists. This deep dive is all about a program designed for, well, everyone. It's the Stop the Bleed course.
And this isn't just theory, is it? The materials show it's built on solid foundations. We're talking development by major players like the American College of Surgeons, insights from the Hartford Consensus.
And even lessons learned from military medicine dealing with trauma in, the toughest conditions. So it's very practical, very grounded in real-world experience.
So our mission here today, acting sort of like your guide through these sources, is to unpack it all. Present the facts clearly, look at the core ideas, the practical skills, and really help you understand why this matters. It's about showing how this training can equip you.
Giving you the essentials, really. What you need to know.
Okay, so where did this whole idea come from, this push to train regular citizens?
Well, the sources point heavily towards something called the Hartford Consensus. This wasn't just, a standard medical meeting. It was specifically put together by the American College of Surgeons after some major mass casualty events.
Events where presumably bleeding was a huge factor in people dying.
Exactly. They brought together this really diverse group: top surgeons, military trauma experts, police, fire, EMS, even folks from the National Security Council, the FBI. Quite a lineup.
Wow. A lot of experience in one room. And what was their main takeaway? Their big conclusion?
It was powerful in its simplicity. Nobody should die from uncontrolled bleeding. Period. And maybe the most revolutionary part was their recommendation that all citizens should learn how to stop bleeding.
All citizens,
Yeah.
not just first responders.
Right. They recognize that the people already there when something happens, the bystanders, they're the real first responders in those initial minutes.
They're the ones inside that crucial 3 to 5 minute window we talked about.
Precisely. While the pros are racing to the scene, those first moments are absolutely critical. Empowering bystanders is really the only way to bridge that time gap effectively.
Okay, so let's reinforce that why it matters point again, because it seems fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. Like we said, uncontrolled bleeding is the #1 cause of preventable death from trauma. And trauma isn't just, major disasters. It could be a bad car crash, a workplace accident, something violent, unfortunately, or even a serious injury at home or out hiking.
Yeah, it happened anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
And in any of those situations, if there's severe bleeding, taking action before the ambulance gets there, that can literally be the difference between life and death. Those moments count more than anything.
Okay, the why is crystal clear, urgent even. So what about the what? What does Stop the Bleed training actually teach you? How does it prepare you to act? The sources mentioned it's hands-on, kind of like CPR, but for bleeding. And there's this ABC structure.
That's right. The ABCs provide a good framework.
Yeah.
But before we even get to A, there's a principle that comes first. Always. And that's your own personal safety.
Makes sense. You can't help if you become a victim, too.
Exactly. The training stresses this up front. You have to check the scene. Is it safe for you to even be there? Is there ongoing danger, traffic, anything unstable? If not, you need to get yourself and the victim, if possible, to safety first.
And what about, protection from blood?
Good point. The training covers that too. Using gloves, if they're available, is ideal. And knowing what to do after if you do get exposed to blood cleaning up, letting healthcare know your safety is priority #1.
Okay, safety first, then the ABCs. Let's start with A.
A is for alert. As soon as it's safe, the very next step is call 911. Or, just as important, point directly at someone specific and tell them to call 911. Don't just yell it out.
Right, assign the task clearly.
Yeah. And you need to tell the operator your location as accurately as you can and listen carefully to their instructions. Getting professional help on the way is vital.
Okay, alert done, help is coming. Next is B, bleeding. Finding the source, right?
Right. You need to see the wound. That means opening or cutting away clothing over the injury site. You can't judge how bad it is if it's hidden. And the key skill here is figuring out if it's life-threatening bleeding.
How do you know?
Yeah.
What are the signs of really serious life-threatening bleeding? The sources listed some specific things.
They did. Clear indicators to look for are: is the person confused or unconscious? That suggests major blood loss affecting the brain.
Right.
Is there partial or complete amputation of an arm or leg? That's almost always severe.
Okay.
Clothing that's just completely soaked with blood, or blood that's pooling on the ground, blood that just won't stop coming out, maybe even spurting. That's a classic sign of arterial bleeding. Or if you put a bandage on and it soaks through immediately.
Got it. So visible, rapid, uncontrolled blood loss.
Exactly. And check everywhere. There might be more than one wound, some hidden. Key areas are limbs, arms and legs, but also the neck, armpits, and groin, where big vessels are near the surface, and anywhere on the torso.
Okay, so safety checked, 911 called, found the bleeding, identified it as life-threatening. Now, C-compress, this is the action part. You said the main idea is squeezing the blood vessel shut.
That's the core principle. And the training gives you 3 main ways to do this, depending on the injury and what you have available. The first and simplest is direct pressure.
When would you use just direct pressure?
For bleeding that isn't spurting or absolutely catastrophic, or crucially, if you find severe bleeding but you don't have a first aid kit or a tourniquet handy, you grab the cleanest thing available: gauze, a cloth, even a t-shirt.
Anything clean, basically.
Pretty much. Cover the wound directly, then push down hard with both hands. Use your body weight.
Really lean into it.
Yes, as hard as you can. And don't let up. Don't peek. Just keep that constant firm pressure going until help arrives and takes over. The sources also mention if it's a deep wound, try to stuff some of the cloth into the wound first, then press on top.
Okay, direct pressure. Got it. What about tourniquets? People hear about those. When are they used?
Tourniquets are specifically for life-threatening bleeding from an arm or a leg only, and critically, only if you have a proper, commercially made tourniquet available. Improvised ones often don't work well and can cause more harm.
Okay, arm or leg, life-threatening, and you have the right tool. How do you apply it?
You apply it high on the limb, about 2 to 3 inches above the wound. Never put it right on a joint, like the elbow or knee, because it won't compress the artery effectively there.
And tightness. How tight does it need to be?
This is absolutely key. You tighten it until the bleeding stops. It needs to be much tighter than most people think. The training materials are clear. It will hurt the person. A lot. But that pain is necessary to stop them from bleeding to death.
And once it's on and the bleeding stopped, you leave it.
You absolutely leave it on. Don't loosen it. Let the professionals handle removal later. You can put it over clothes if you have to, but directly on skin is better if possible. And sometimes one might not be enough. You might need to apply a second one just above the first.
You mentioned recommended tourniquets earlier, referencing COTCCC.
Right. COTCCC, the Committee on Tactical Combat Casualty Care. They evaluate what works best based on battlefield data. So when the training mentions COTCCC recommended tourniquets, it means these are devices proven effective under the most demanding circumstances.
Makes sense. Proven tech. Okay, so direct pressure, tourniquets for limbs. What's the third compression method?
The third is wound packing. This is what you do for life-threatening bleeding on an arm or leg if you don't have a tourniquet. It's also the main technique for severe bleeding in places where a tourniquet won't work, like the neck, shoulder, or groin.
Those junctional areas, right? Neck, shoulder, groin. How does packing work? Sounds intense.
It is. You expose the wound, clear away any pooled blood so you can see. Then you take gauze, ideally special hemostatic gauze that helps clotting, but plain gauze or clean cloth works too, and you literally stuff it into the wound cavity, tightly.
Filling the space, not just covering it.
Exactly. You're pushing the packing material deep into the wound, right down to where the bleeding is coming from. Once it's packed full and tight, you apply firm, direct pressure on top of the packing with both hands. Again, hard pressure, hold it steady until help arrives.
Wow. These techniques, pressure, tourniquets, packing, they sound like things you really need to practice.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a huge emphasis in the Stop the Bleed course. It's not just watching slides. You get hands-on practice. You actually apply tourniquets to training limbs. You practice packing simulated wounds. That hands-on part is critical for building confidence and muscle memory.
Learning by doing, basically. So who should be taking this course? Is it just for, say, security guards or EMTs?
No, not at all. The sources are really clear. It's for anyone aged 13 or older who might be around when an accident or emergency happens.
So truly for the general public?
Yes. Everyday people are the main audience. They list examples like folks who work at shooting ranges, people at public venues, construction workers, farmers, hunters, outdoor enthusiasts. But really, the message is anyone. You don't need any medical background.
No prerequisites needed.
None whatsoever. It's designed for lay people, the instructors are certified, and often they have real-world emergency experience themselves, like being EMRs, so they bring that practical knowledge.
That's really empowering, knowing anyone can learn this. Let's just quickly run through those main steps one last time. The ABCs plus safety.
You bet. So boil down, it's Frennis. 1, check your safety, make sure you're safe first. 2, A for alert, call 911 or tell someone specific to call. Know your location. 3, B for bleeding. Find the wound, expose it, check if it's life-threatening using those signs. 4, C's for compress. Apply pressure. Use direct pressure, or if it's a limb with life-threatening bleeding, use a tourniquet if you have one. If no tourniquet for a limb, or if it's neck, shoulder, groin, use wound packing. Push hard, keep pressure on. 4, C for compress. 5, wait for help.
Simple steps, huge potential impact. And there was that one powerful quote the sources kept repeating.
Yes. The only thing more tragic than a death from bleeding is a death that could have been prevented.
That really says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It underscores that this knowledge, this willingness to act in those first few minutes, it can literally prevent a tragedy that didn't need to happen. It's about giving people the power to stop a preventable death.
And that power, that ability, it's something you can gain.
Absolutely. Which brings us right to the practical next step. If listening to this deep dive has made you think, I need those skills, well, you can get them. The sources point out that BC Firearms Academy offers the official Stop the Bleed course.
That's right. And it includes that vital hands-on practice we talked about. The course itself takes up to about 3 hours, so it's a manageable time commitment. And the certification you get, it's valid for life. It's a skill you keep.
And there's something else mentioned in the material, a special offer right now.
Yes, they highlighted that. Normally, the course is $75 Canadian, but BC Firearms Academy is currently offering it at 50% off, so it's only $35 Canadian right now.
Wow, that's a really great price for potentially life-saving skills.
It really is. The key is not to wait until you wish you'd done it. Being prepared beforehand is everything.
So if you want to learn more or sign up for that Stop the Bleed course with BC Firearms Academy while the offer is on, you can go straight to their website. The link they provided is https://bcfirearmsacademy.kv/fins category Stop the Bleed.
It's probably one of the most practical investments in safety you could make.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to take away, kind of building on that idea of preventable deaths. We focused on you learning these skills, but maybe think a bit broader. Who else do you know? Family, friends, maybe people you work with, or others in your community. Who else could benefit from knowing how to stop a bleed? Imagine the difference it could make if more people around you were also prepared. Maybe share what you've learned today. Show the importance of this training.